check out the second channel where I post shorter form content, and it would mean the world to me to check out my fiction channel full of audible stories. By now, there should be at least a certain audio adventure made just for you. Check out the collabs below. Anyway, hello, ladies and gamers. My top 5 games are all strange. My 5th is Persona 3 Reloaded. It used to be Persona 5 Royal, however I love 3 story more. But the top 3 is a 3-way tie. If you know me long enough, one of them is Hellblade, the other one is Nightcall, and the other one is Runar. Maybe one of these days I'll get a chance to talk about it. But number 4 on the list will surprise you. It's a game that I've been playing since I was less than a teen. I can't help but come back to it every once in a while because of how surprisingly good and unique it is. It's a little game called Bakugan Battle Brawlers. Now, some of you are confused. Wait, don't click off. Now, some of you are confused and need some background to understand, so let's quickly dive into the weird realm of Bakugan. There is more to this Wii game than you might think. Today, my focus isn't to make you play this game. It's on a dead system, and I doubt that most of you have one of these dead systems. Most of you aren't going to buy it anyway. However, I'm here to make you go, wow, that's a cool video game that has sadly been lost to time. But where'd you find it, and where do I find happiness? Let's educate you on a great game you've never heard of. And yeah, I know if you've grown up with Bakugan, you probably already know of this game. So feel free to send this to a friend that hasn't. This video isn't that long as my other videos. Plus, congratulations, you are one of the few people who actually clicked on this video. Because if I post anything other than DMC, nobody watches it. And also, don't worry, this video is ADHD approved. We've got meme clips, we got Invincible Brain Run, we've got live action gags that make you say, damn, Scott the Woz was way funnier than this guy. And yes, we will talk about the effects of World War II on Bakugan. Why did I write this? We got this! Track 0. Licensed games are trash. Now, to understand what we're dealing with, licensed games are, well, awful. At least back in the day. Before the Arkhams, the Dunes, and the Spider-Mans, licensed games were known to be cheap cash grabs, based on IPs that were popular. So you might be watching and saying,
well, duh. Everybody knows that. What are you, gay?
Well, okay, smarty pants, but I think you forgot how bad they actually were. In case you need reminding, there's Generator X, Ben 10, Beyblade, oof, that was something. Ben 10, you know, just in case. Princess and the Frog, classic. Did I forget Ben 10? Most of these all tended to be on one console, the Wii. Now, many people think the Wii was a golden era of gaming, but let's face it, 10% were Nintendo games and the other 90% were garbage licensed games. The whole point of this section is to make you understand that licensed games tend to be trash. So imagine my shock when this game ended up being great, and how unusual that is. Alright, we got a little sidetrack, so let's get back to more of the meat, before I show my meat. Track 1. Down the rabbit hole. Alright, I think most people have heard of Bakugan, but to quickly go over it for the lame people who are unaware, Bakugan is a brand that was hard to get away from in the early Gen Z years. Bakugan is a toy brand from Japan. This sparked a TV show with a few episodes. Like how much, Editing Splinter? 52? Bro, what? 52 episodes? Take that, Invincible. It's Cecil! I need you! How many for 4 seasons? Holy mother of Zarathustra. That's probably more than One Piece. Let's very briefly go over the show. Look, I know long videos like these love to give you useless information to drag the video's length. I won't do that. Mostly, Bakugan takes place in a story of two worlds, the real world and Vestroia. Blah blah blah. Two worlds collide from the inside. Anyway, in Bakugan, or the monsters, are living things. Some of them even talk, but they are forced to fight for the humans, and the battle brawlers our protagonists are trying to fight for their freedom. And yes, this sounds like slavery, but with extra steps. Each season takes a different setup. Season 1 is with the core cast, while the antagonist is mostly two people, Masquerade and Algae. Season 2 takes only half of the cast and puts them on a completely different planet. And Season 3 is an alien invasion. I know these are toys, but this series can get a bit bonkers. From twists to deaths to love interest to an old man obsessed with a kid's game trying to enslave the world or something. Anyway, thank God this video isn't about the show. Look. Point is that the show was about the toys adding to the lore and to the characters to get attached to. It's quite normal for something like this to happen. So naturally there are going to be video games based off the property. Because of this, Bakugan got a video game in 2009, releasing on the PS2 and PS3, Xbox 360, DS, and Wii. Today we'll be focusing on the Wii version, and its highest resolution you'll get is 720p. Yuji Itadori can't even understand my pain. The game was worked on by Now Productions and published by Activision back when Activision was less scummy. When it was worked on, only one season was out, so most of the story and gameplay elements come from the first season. So characters, plots, backgrounds, and oh, sorry, I forgot to switch sections. Track 2. The alright story. Look, first and foremost, you will not be playing this game for its story. It's by no means a bad story, just enough of what the game is supposed to do. The rundown is that you play as a new player to the Bakugan universe. Dan teaches you the ropes when you meet a talking Bakugan named Leonidas. Dan gets beat by a brawler that doesn't play fair, so the battle brawlers think that it was Leonidas, even though they could easily just ask Dan. But whatever. You meet who's behind this, and it ends up being Marduk. We'll get to Marduk later. You later fight Marduk and Masquerade, and then once taking on each of the brawlers head on, you face off against Marduk in a massive 1v1 battle, where Marduk fights with the power of the Silent Core. And of course, you beat him with the power of friendship. Once beaten, they both lose their partners, only to get them back at the end. Look, I know that was very broad, but the cutscenes in total are only like 33 minutes long. However, while this story isn't groundbreaking, it's pretty alright. The main protagonist is honestly a good person. He's a fair sportsmanship, and he's a bit of a fanboy. On his own, I don't think he could cut it, but with Leonidas' character arc builds up the protagonist in a good way.
Are you sure? Hiroshi, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Great, I have to deal with Ending Splinter and the Invincible Brain Rot. But yeah, speaking of Leonidas, I honestly think he's the best part of this story. Leonidas starts off as a raging Bakugan from the Doom Dimension, but over time, he learns his lesson and becomes a better person. Or Bakugan, whatever. No wonder Leonidas is a fan favorite. His arc is satisfying and well told. Both the MC and Leonidas reflect Marduk and Vladitor. Marduk is the definition of wasted potential as explained by Marucho.
I heard he used to be a decent Bakugan player with a rep for playing dirty. He became obsessed with winning. He started to use dirty tactics in battle and ended up being despised by all the other players who faced him. My sources say his best friend and tag team partner betrayed him, and all of his Bakugan were sent to the Doom Dimension.
So first, I think the reason why Marduk has that piece on his face is because of this betrayal. Most likely leaving damage on his face, so he covers it up. Also, this quote-unquote playing dirty comes into the gameplay at the end of the main story. The voice acting and design for him is peak. Vladitor also has a great design. The final thing to mention is that I like the story pits you against the battle brawlers in a kind of interesting way, and it's a cool idea. Good thing I didn't shoot them dead at a park bench. So, okay, the story isn't terrible, there aren't a lot of inconsistencies or anything like that, but I'd like to even say that this story is kind of better than mid, honestly. It does the job that it needs to do, and for that, I'm grateful. Now, let's get to the real meat of the game. Track 3, the basics. Wah wah. Alright, let's go over all the things that you can do in this game. I'm actually not going to go over all of it just yet. I'd also like to mention that there is a lot more to this game than you think. So, first and foremost, This game is a mix between a turn-based combat system and a card game. It's a bit weird if you haven't played any of those before. Even though that is the best way to break it down, there's a lot more to what I'm saying. So let's start off with something simple. How do you win? You need 3 gate cards to win. So how do you do that? And what is that? Actually, it's very complicated, but the best way to effectively win is by sucking me off, and pretty simple really. You either double stand by landing 2 of your Bakugan on a gate card, or fight somebody else on a gate card, then you win that gate card. I'll talk about the other way later. With 3, you win. So how do you get on a gate card? You need to throw your Bakugan and steer the ball to the one of the card you're choosing. Be careful though, this isn't as easy as it sounds. Once you land on the card, and an opponent lands on that card as well, a battle opens. So how do you win a fight? Simple. You need to get higher numbers than the opponent. You raise your numbers by using gate cards, or you're using ability cards. Then you enter a minigame to raise the number even higher. It's okay if this doesn't make sense. I'll re-explain certain things. That way you won't get lost. So that's the basics for now, but I'll go more in depth later. Track 4, Bakugan. As Omni-Man once said, I'll break it down for you.
I am omning it. I am omning it so good.
First thing up is Bakugan. Bakugan is what you use to win battles. Without them, the game is meaningless. Every Bakugan needs high Gs. Since you are trying to get the highest number throughout the main story, you will be running back and forth to the shop, always trying to get to the next best Bakugan. But once you are done trying to unlock the best, you need to upgrade your Bakugan. You can do this in several ways. There are speed, defense, acceleration, endurance, jump, and Gs. Speed and acceleration are how fast you go on your throw. Defense is for others that want a sphere attack you. For example, if an enemy throws a Bakugan at you at full speed, your Bakugan will take damage. How much is determined by the defense of said Bakugan. Endurance is how long you can move your Bakugan, and jump does exactly what you think it does. And Gs simply increases the Gs of your Bakugan. Well, at first it might seem smart to invest in defense or jump. The only ones that really matter are endurance and speed. If you have a Bakugan that doesn't have these, then, well, get used to that failed cutscene.
I'll try harder next time.
The real stat you want to upgrade is Gs. The higher your Bakugan is, the better. As long as you have the skills of knowing and planning your throw, you'll be fine. However, it's worth keeping in mind these stats. For example, if you want to hit something high or low, but your speed stats are too high or too low, then just like me avoiding women, the same will happen with your Bakugan. In certain scenarios, you may think speed is important, but sometimes too much of a good thing is very bad. Battle Explodator is literally the worst in terms of stats of too much being a good thing. You take one little nudge to the left, he will do a 90-degree turn. He might just turn around all the way if he wants to. This is almost exactly like the experience of having drunk driving. Don't ask me how I know that.
Am I going the wrong way? Oh my god.
These stats play into the overall factor in your Bakugan's throw. The last thing up is the elements and super shots. There are 6 elements in this game: Pyrus, also known as fire; Subterra, also known as earth; Chaos, also known as light; Darkus, also known as darkness; Aquas, also known as water; and Ventus, also known for wind. Each Bakugan has one of these attributes. So naturally, your loadout will match this. Most of the time, the kits that you are given favor a single element of play, but I'll get to that later. The last thing you need to know is special shots. Every throw you make builds a bar. When that bar is full, you can use your super shot. Well, of course, if they're past level 5. Pyrus makes you go fast and do damage. Subterra knocks all nearby Bakugan down 100 Gs. Chaos increases your Gs every second you are on the throw. Darkus takes Gs from nearby and increases its own. It's impossible to sphere attack also. Aquas gives you lots of endurance, and finally Ventus gives you a tornado that collects all the miners nearby, which is one of the worst ones by the by, because of collecting the miners, of course. But really, yeah, this special shot is ass. So the next thing I'll share with you is kind of strange. I was editing the video and then I realized I had to talk about super shots, and I was like, damn, these super shots, they're going to take a long time to get. So I wanted to be a lazy piece of shit, right? And just take it offline. I found this video, Bakugan Battle Brothers special shots, right? Look at this, even the font. So guess how old it is. I'll let you guess. Go on. Think about it. All right, guess. All right, good. 14 years ago. And look at the video quality. I think he took a recorder and like started recording his script at transition. Wait, this is the funniest part. Okay, so you know how the Aquos one is like the unlimited amount? Alright. Let me show you. Look at this. Ready? Ready? He throws it. Right? Everything's going as planned, right? And then, where is he going? Look at this. He tries to jump. Misses completely. He overshoots it. What the fuck? Anyway, I just thought it would be funny to make up for the fact that I didn't have the footage for the special shots. Guys, it would take forever. I would have to load up the Wii, and then I would have to go through all of them at the single time, and it'd take hours. When I can just show you a video and then steal it from somebody. Oh wait, hold on. Let me give credit before we end this to Nightshade 918. Thank you, Nightshade. Thank you for being a patriot and a true American. We'll go into more depth about each Bakugan later. I think it's worth addressing how well this game translates to the original choice. They could have easily just made you land on a card via the choice like the show, but giving the player the freedom really goes a long way and shows effort. Just worth bringing up. Track 5. Field Gs, Cards, and Battle Items. Field Gs are pretty simple. The white ones raise your Gs by 5 and the gold ones around 50 Gs. Getting them is not easy as it sounds. Some stages are way harder than others, but the most important are the battle items. These can change the outcome of a battle in an instant. Some stop the player for around 8 seconds. Since minigames don't last that long, it can have a huge effect in battle. You can try and resist, but much like my experience with the police, it never helps. Some increase or decrease Gs in battle. And before you ask, yeah, it really does make a difference. Being able to boost your Gs or stall the opponents really matters. Not only that, but to use it to your best ability, you need to understand the timing. And you can't use these just expecting to win right out the gate. And one that just completely beats the other player. This certain item I'm talking about flips the Gs of the players in an instant when pressed. Which means you can use it at the last second and win, which is totally broken, by the way. But honestly, in most cases, it just creates a steamroll where you end up winning the game. But the rest aren't that great. The question mark exclamation point is the worst. It basically stops and starts you and your opponent's Gs at random, and it's really annoying, and I swear to God, I get it every game. There's also Big Advantage, which just straight up takes the opponent's battle item and gives it to you. Now, if you're wondering about the cards, I'm not talking about gate cards or ability cards. I'm talking about the ones on the field. These can do a ton of different things, such as messing up the opponent's next throw, like Mirror, that inverts their controls, or Confusion, which does this. Yeah, I hate this card, and I think you can understand why. There's also the Stealth card that turns you invisible, but if he's invisible, I don't know why it can hurt him. There is also a damage field, which any Bakugan that gets close to it loses Gs. Jamming does something, and shields that protect your balls. After telling you all this, I think you need to understand the multiple parts of this game. I split it into 3 categories: RNG, skill, and strategy. So in short, it's ass. I'm so funny, guys. This is the most random part of the game, which makes sense. Not everything is going to be about those 2 S's. It is made up with multiple people in mind. There is a way to take it out of the equation, but we'll come back to this one later. Alright, with the knowledge I've shared so far, I'll talk a little bit about the role. The role really is half random and half skill. You need to understand the environment and movement, so it takes skill, but the items that you want and what you get are all random. So it's a mix of this plus your stats of said Bakugan that makes the whole role very important. Track 6, Battlefields. This is actually one of the coolest parts of the game. Battlefields are new to Bakugan. In the show, they just appeared in the void or wherever a flat field is, but this game really takes it a step forward. Each battle comes with its own challenges, positives, and amazing music. Let's start off with the most beginner friendly. The first battle arena is neutral and simple. This gives no player an elemental advantage, but it's incredibly small. Other than the first tournament and some tutorials, you don't need to see this thing again if you don't want to. The Aqua Stadium is by far the easiest. You see, every arena has a path to collect Gs. The Aqua Arena has the easiest path, and it's extremely easy to collect anything across the stage. Some areas have more risk than others, but overall, it's one of the levels that the game gives you easily for understanding the mechanics of the game quite well. The next one up is the Subterra Stadium. Did you hear that? I called the devil's name. Yeah, I hate this stage. There's like one route and it's really short. You go up the hill, then you shoot up, then you go back down. That's it. Each stadium tells a story. It sounds gay when I say it out loud, but it's true. It's when the creators can show you an interesting world in such a short amount of time. And again, the devs didn't have to do this. The stadiums are completely its own thing, but they gave up on this one. Plus, later on, the earth itself will pull you in. Told you, just like the gates of hell. The Ventus Stadium is the next one up you encounter, and man, it's one of my favorites. Being in the sky with the clouds and your path is flying through the air, it's so peak. And later on there will be random tornadoes, and it's pretty funny to watch. Overall, while it is easy, it's still great. The Pyrus Stadium, it's... Oh god, the Pyrus Stadium. Yeah, this one's one of the hardest. The lava that burns your G's to the path that I swear to god just won't let me turn. I have nightmares about this arena. And on top of all that, they have random parts that can just throw you in the air. What bullshit should we add? Yes! The Chaos Stadium is one I have mixed feelings on, okay? Who made the floor slippery and why? While some parts feel a bit jank, I do like it, even if the path sucks a little. But you get shot out of a giant tiger, so it's instantly peak. The last one is the Darkest Stadium, and this is thrown out of nowhere at the end of the game. It's such a great twist and stage. There's dark clouds, the theme is kick-ass, and I'll get to them in a second, and you get to ride a beast. Don't take that out of context, please. The path is amazing, and after winning you can unlock the arena that gets even harder somehow. After all that, there are two things that make each stadium worth talking about. One is its music. I guarantee you've heard at least a couple of tracks in my videos. Each has a song and sound that fits, and it's an absolute banger. Trust me, listen to them on YouTube. The second thing is the levels. You know how I believe that Pyrus and Subterra stadiums suck? Well, there is a way to make them better. Each arena has levels. One being walls around the arena and not a lot of obstacles but low reward. But 3 is at its hardest with no walls, high rewards, and a ton of obstacles. And 2 is between them in terms of difficulty. I know this sounds like one big nerd fest, but trust me, all these together make for a great experience. Track 7, Game Modes. Alright gamers, let's talk about yet another interesting aspect that changes this game. Game modes. There are 3 game modes, 1v1, 2v2s, and a 4-man free-for-all. 1v1 is what you'll be seeing most of the time throughout the game. In 1v1 you can play more defensively. Missing your shots really aren't that bad. You can also specifically make their kit against one opponent. 2v2 is where things get more tricky. If you miss a shot, your partner can make up for it. However, the AI is a bit of a give and take. Sometimes they'll play really smart and others, well... In this game, AI can be quite dumb, which is something I'll get to in a later section. I highly recommend getting a team that is the same element as you. 2v2s are fun and mostly different than 1v1s. Free-for-alls. Oh my god. This mode isn't shown off in the show, and I don't think that the IRL game is meant to be played this way. Throw out everything you know. This mode is insane. Everything is outright chaos. If you miss one shot, it could very well cost you the whole game. You need to play well, and I cannot tell you why, but there are always one AI in the game, most of the time, that simply has the sauce or is straight up godlike. The thing I forgot to mention is that all 3 of these game modes are a point of 3 to win. 1v1, it's fine. 2v2, fair enough. But for free-for-alls, that isn't enough. When everybody goes once, 2 players could easily already have 1 point. Not only that, but the minigames completely change in a new way. You see, in minigames, you don't typically have help from other AI. In 2v2, it's equal, so it really doesn't matter. However, free-for-alls, other AIs that don't take place in the battle, can help one of the players in battle, and most of the time, it's the one with the lowest Gs. Meaning, if you want to use an ability card or 2, you can't overshoot, and you can easily feel the difference. This whole game mode is about being aggressive. If you want to play too defensively, you will lose, and that's what makes it one of the best, if not the best, mode in the entire game. Nearly all my close calls have been in this one game mode.
Why Splinter?
What? Have you been paying attention? Are you on TikTok right now? It's all good. I'm on YouTube Shorts. You know, we can be addiction buddies, you know? You know, I said that to a crack addict once. That's how I ended up doing crack. Everything can go wrong, will go wrong. And that's why it's so great. Every shot, every item, every card plays a big role if you're playing to win. So overall, each game mode does something different, and they aren't a waste. The only criticism I have is that I want more. I wish there was a way to customize more settings, like the amount of cards or Bakugans you can carry. I would kill for an 8 free-for-all, or a 3v3 and a 2v1. Track 8, gate cards and ability cards. So a good question is, what the hell is a gate card? So this is going to be a stupid example, but remember chess? You know, the game you wanted to get good at but never did? Think of each square as a gate card. This is placed by all players. The interesting part is at the very start, you can just throw all 3 gate cards. And each gate card can change a whole lot about the battle you land on. And each gate card gives each element different Gs. This is where defense and offense comes into play. But let's go over the specifics first. Gold cards are up first. These gate cards give certain Bakugan more Gs, meaning this card is mostly good and safe for that one Bakugan. These cards give you the shooting minigame.
But what are minigames?
Damn, shut up. We'll get to that in the next section. God, no wonder you don't have a father figure. Sunlight! The joke is funny because I typically record at nighttime, but now there's sunlight in the room, so therefore I call out the sunlight. It makes my video fun. Silver cards are a bit less interesting. They trigger the timing minigame, and they kind of do nothing. No tricks or anything. They're just normal Gs for each element, and that's it. But the bronze/copper cards do everything and anything. There are so many batshit insane rules these cards have. The first one on the card gets more Gs. The last one on the card gets more Gs. Some of these, all of the players get their abilities back for no reason. Some just you can't use any ability cards. And the minigame you get for this one is the shaking minigame. So this is a quick fact for you guys. To make players feel less cool, the rules get changed. In Season 2 and onwards, there are only 1 gate card at a time. And I think this is really dumb. You know how I mentioned the points go up to 3? Or were you playing video games or on TikTok while watching this video? You know what? Enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. Not everything needs your full amount of attention. The joke is funny because I mentioned it last time and I'm mentioning it now, so therefore there's a comedic. Anyway, that means one player has 2 gate cards to work with while the other side only has 1. That's not fair. Plus, the reason why I wanted to point this out is how it works in terms of gameplay. Every time the player lands on the card, that's a choice, offense or defense. You can play it safe and land on your own side's gate card, or play offensively and win via that way. It's a game of choice. Alright, simple, right? Well, if you struggle with that, then yeah, look, just to write this part of the script, I need to see all of them because this shit can get a bit confusing. But I promise it'll make sense when I'm done. The red cards are mostly for elemental stuff. If your Bakugan is a certain element, then you get to use more Gs. These can range from 50 Gs and can go up to 150. And the reason why I said mostly is because it can change the minigame, affect a battle item, and give you Gs based on the opponent's elements. So again, mostly for elements. Green cards are mostly character cards. For a certain Bakugan, you can get Gs from 200 to 400 Gs. Again, mostly. A few cards are weird because some give you Gs based on if you or your opponents are certain elements. Blue cards are, actually, honestly, I don't know. They don't have any character cards, but they do a lot of random shit, similar to how the Bronze Gate cards work. So they're used for certain situations, and some are
Ability card activated.
gambling. This is my favorite card. Okay, now that we have done all that, did you guys get it? As long as you know the basics, you'll be fine, but I'll re-explain it later on. Don't worry, I won't test you, but I will be charging you a fee. Cards in this game add something that the other gameplay mechanics lack. Strategy. You know that whole ass thing? The cards give you creative builds for you no matter what you're getting into. Even though you can only carry one card of every type, it still makes you want to test strategies on your own. And that's yet another reason why this game is truly amazing. Track 9. Minigames. The minigame. Ah, yes. But first, we need to go back in time to understand how this all started. It all started at... Nah, I'm kidding. Everybody knows what they are. They've been in video games for years, and it's mostly been for one purpose, for everyone to understand, which can be good. Anyone can do it. The bad part is, anyone can do it. Not every game is made for everyone, but what makes games unique is that some games, I hate to tell you this, viewer, just aren't made for you and mine. Crazy, right? This has been me essentially saying that because anyone can do it, it's very simple and can get annoying. However, I think here it's not too bad. Let's quickly go over them one by one. First, the shooting minigame needs you to lock in. You need to train your brain to shoot the correct color. Simple, but it can get hard. At level 3, they move around and there's a golden one that resets the screen and gives you extra Gs. So you have to rush to get it. And trust me, you want to get it. The next one up is shaking. Well, this one looks bad out of context. One-handed. Yeah. It's not a... That's gonna be on the internet forever. But overall, this one wears me out the most. I shake the Wii like a madman and I look stupid while also being exhausted from it. Plus, at level 2 and 3, you have to stop at some points and do certain directions. No thank you. Timing battles are my favorite because the easy way to explain it is, it's Guitar Hero. Bam, you get it. While minigames can add on to an already existing gameplay, in Bakugan, it's the final factor on how you win a battle. And even if the shaking one is dumb, I like them. Anyone can do it, and that's okay for games like this. Track 10. Playable characters and opponents. Alright, every character you face can also be playable, so let's talk about all the opponents and the nicknames I've given them. The first thing to understand is that they will be put into 3 levels. Level 1, they're straight. Level 2, they're gay. And level 3 is that they're definitely League of Legends players. So to understand them, we need to talk about the 3-level system that I mentioned in a previous Bakugan section. No, you don't remember? Let me show you. Oh, I didn't. Well, let's fix that. The Gs of the Bakugan really matter. The lowest you'll see is around the high hundreds. By the end of the game, you'll encounter 500s or higher. Most other Bakugan range from 100 to 300 Gs. Special Bakugan range from 300 to 400, and Special Evolved Bakugan get up to 400 to 500 Gs. Here's where the levels come into play. Okay, so what was the key factor in the analysis that I mentioned for the highest amount of Gs that certain Bakugan have? Take your time. What the fuck? Wait, why is the music... It's not that hard. That's right, Special Bakugan. Level 1 characters have no Special Bakugan. Level 2 characters do have some Special Bakugan, but no Evolved ones. And Level 3 characters have Special Evolved Bakugan. And it's worth noting that I'm really not talking about their kit, but mostly the main Bakugan they have. So let's start off with the straights. Tsuji, Akira, Jenny, Jules. These 4 are losers. They get no Special Bakugan, making them a joke in the middle of the main campaign. The only thing that's interesting about them is Tsuji. Tsuji changes elements like 3 times. Why? I played this game for years and I still don't know. But I understand why they are in this game. Tsuji and Akira were the first antagonists for the series. However, I miss Nene. Nene was the secret brains behind the two and was their sister. Shame they couldn't put her in the game. And I also understand why Jenny and Jules are here. They are both pop stars, and they are memorable compared to some of the other antagonists we see in the series. Still, they're losers. The gays are Chan-Li, Julio, Klaus, Kamba, and Billy. Let's start off with Chan-Li and her Bakugan Fortress. Chan-Li is a clear Bruce Lee knockoff, so she does kung fu and shit. Like, damn girl, calm down. This is a turn-based game. We take turns doing kung fu on each other. I need a woman who can do this to me. She has a great design and a great personality, but Fortress feels a bit nerfed. You see, in the series, Fortress had an ability card to change faces, doing different things, but in the game, it only references that in the battle animations, and he also doesn't talk. Speaking of which, nearly all special Bakugan talk. Like, nearly all of them. Yet in this game, they don't talk at all. And if they do talk, it's for a very, very brief time in the story. And I'm very conflicted on this. On one side of my butt cheek, they added a lot of personality, not only to them, but to the show as a whole. Bakugan talking is what makes the story work. On the other cheek, they can absolutely get annoying. Think about it. Every battle hearing them on and on saying the same voice lines. God, no thank you. Alright, the rest will go much quicker. Julio and Tentaclear, I miss the ability where you can remove the player's choice to move. It was cool when the show did it, but other than that, good stats. Klaus and Cyranoid is a beast. Love Klaus's design, but more importantly, Cyranoid got higher Gs than the upgraded default Leonidas, so I used that busted Gs to my advantage. I smoked a lot of kids. There's Kamba. Who names their kid Kamba? Anyway, Kamba and Harpist. This starts a trend of Ventus having little speed, little defense, or little anything useful, but having very high jump for some reason. Billy and Cycloid is interesting because no, they're not. I just lied. Billy is the love interest for Julie, even though Julie is into Dan, but he later gets into Runo, so personally, I think he picked wrong. Have you seen Julie? Personally, I would go with Shun. Gay Gang, that's what I call them, are okay. Most of the game's campaign, they are Roblox. But the only reason why that this is that you get an evolved Leonidas at the very end of the campaign. So most of the time, they can feel like a challenge because you and them are both on equal footing. Or you can do what I did in my Aquas playthrough and scored Cyranoid and Preus, and just like I said, I rolled a ton of kids. The only problem is that they feel more like cameos than characters, and when I say that, I mean they don't appear in actual cutscenes, just through gameplay and in the park, which is a shame, but they're cool cameos nonetheless. The League players are Dan, Shun, Marucho, Runo, Julie, Masquerade, and Marduk. I'll dive a little bit deeper with this group because of how important they are in the endgame. We'll start off with Dan. Dan seems like a pretty big deal early in the game, but Delta Dragonoid 2's stats are wild. He has everything but endurance. And let me tell you, now my brother and Jojo, endurance is everything. Well, speed and Gs are good too, but endurance is important for the throw because you need to collect as many Gs as possible and moving around the stadium, and you need endurance for that. So Delta Dragonoid 2 is kinda ass because of this. Shun's Storm Skyrus is good. Sadly, Skyrus is a bit low on the speed side, but she has a lot of endurance. And is that 5 in jump? What the? I had no idea she could jump that high. I loosely touched it. Other than that stupid stat, she's good. I'd rather a slow and long Bakugan than a fast and short one. This would be the perfect time for your mom joke, but I am above that. Your dad, on the other hand, Marucho can actually be quite a danger, because he's the only one that can carry both Special Bakugan and Evolved Bakugan at the same time. He never has Angelo and Diablo at the same time, however. If he did, he would smoke a lot of kids. But, you see, that's not the only thing that's interesting about Marucho's kit. You see, like you may have picked up on, for Preus Evolved Forms, there are 2 versions. Not only that, but Angelo and Diablo don't have a special ability card for them. You know how I mentioned in Track 8, certain Bakugan have certain ability cards just for them? This doesn't apply for Angelo and Diablo. However, they share a gate card. Why? Honestly, I never figured that out. And Angelo and Diablo have 2 elements attached to them, meaning Angelo is both Chaos and Aquas, while Diablo is both Pyrus and Aquas. The funny thing about them is that there is literally no downside in this. Every time you want to gain Gs on both ability cards and gate cards, both Angelo and Diablo will pick from the highest of the elements on there. Every time. This applies to everything. Shooting, well, you can shoot both elements. Stadiums having downsides? Well, not for these two. It's crazy how powerful they are. On top of this, regular praise can turn into Subterrace, Darkus, and Aquas. Anyway, interesting, right? Bruno and Blade Tigura kinda suck and has no endurance, but thank God she has 3 in jump! Cause that's what she was really missing apparently. It's the same issue as Drago. Julie and Hammer Golem is up next. He has 5 in speed. Wait a second. 5 in defense. No. 4 in acceleration. Oh no, please no. And 1 endurance. Masquerade is up with dual Hydronoid, and he has 5 speed. No. 3 in defense. Oh god. 3 in acceleration. And 5 in endurance. And also 1 in jump. There is a god. It's a shame we don't get to see his next evolution. In the show, he becomes Alpha Hydronoid with 3 heads. Oh well, Marduk is up to bat with Battle Axe Flatator. You know how I joked in Track 4 about his stats? Yeah, that's not one off comment. Here's the real issue. Now, here's my gay theory. I think the reason why he controls so bad is because his acceleration is more than his speed, which I think means that the controls and turns are strong, but the speed to back it up isn't there. It's just a theory. A gay theory. At least he has 2 endurance. Looking back, there are some weird stats on these Bakugan. Even though I complained a lot about the lack of endurance or too much in speed, you can easily upgrade it if you want to. Either way, these Bakugan really bring the game to life. Track 11. The AI is slow and bad. I wanted to add this section because I think it's really important that you understand this. While these characters mostly have balancing issues, the overall game is meant to be fair. From the random items to the strategy with the cards and so on. How do you make a campaign around that? Think about it. Most PvP shooters. In the main campaign, you don't go down a few hits, but your enemies do. So you are buffed compared to the PvP side of the game. Plus, Bakugan is for kids. So how do you balance it? Answer. You make the AI fucking stupid.
Impossible!
I don't believe it! Finger face.
Look, out of all the solutions, I don't think this is the one. I think this is where the game really fails you, and it's by far my biggest criticism. They will miss throws, they will have no strategy, and they will place their Bakugan in the dumbest of spots. However, there is one exception. Sometimes the AI will lock in, and it's usually in free-for-alls, and that's why it's one of my favorite game modes, because it's a true challenge. Track 12, the endgame, builds, and more. I remember some stream a while ago of a YouTuber playing Bakugan, and one of the questions somehow, someway, came up about, can Darkus Bakugan say the N-word? And I was like, what? Well, obviously, yes, but the question is, does that mean Praise is doing blackface? We're getting to the end of the video here, so let's talk about some of the stuff you can do after completing the main campaign. The biggest being the store. See all this? Yeah, now buy all of it. Yeah, that is now your main goal. So buying everything is more than just needing money, but if you do need money, I suggest heading over to the tournament. While before it was used as a way to continue the main story, now it's used as a sort of challenge mode that gives you a lot of cha-ching if you win. So as you may have noticed, there are still quite a bit of things you haven't unlocked yet.
So how do you get them, dipshit Splinter?
Why are you being so mean? Why does everybody feel the need to bully me? Does anybody ever think of how Anyway, yeah, it's the park. Park is where you can fight anyone in any arena in any mode. Not only that, but every time you beat certain characters with special Bakugan, it gets unlocked in the shop. For their gate cards, ability cards, and of course the special Bakugan themselves. Now, the park is weird in terms of the early game. Every time you beat said opponent, 95% out of the 90%, wait a second, every time you beat a said opponent, most of the time they will show up as an option to fight them in the park. The reason why I think it's weird in the main campaign, you can just forget about it. You can easily make it through the story without even going to the part without counting the tutorials. So you don't really need it, and I know because I've done it several times. However, I do not suggest it. When you do finally go to the park after beating the campaign, you will get non-stop dialogue from every challenger, and you will be sitting there for a while, even if you skip through it. So, back to the builds. You know how I mentioned the gate cards being weird? So there are a lot of weird strategies you can take because of this. First, I think the most clear ones are the negative Gs. Yes, you heard me right, minus Gs. It's real and it happens. And a really bad gate card can really mess up your day. And the one I'm referring to, this one gate card can make your life miserable. I can get all the Gs, get a certain item, and fully prepared, bam, G power swap. This happened to me more than once, and I can prepare for every gate card but that one. There is also something called the Ultimate Elemental Kit. Yes, I'm trademarking that now. There are 2 Special Evolved Bakugan for Aquas. There are 2 Special Evolved Bakugan for Darkus. I think you know where I'm getting at. For example, if you pick Aquas Leonidas, then you get both Preyas Angelo and Preyas Diablo. Now, you have a stacked kit. In most kits, you have a Bakugan that isn't evolved or aren't special enough, but playing Aquas and Darkus helps you get around that. However, there is another kit that'll leave you just as powerful. If you go into the store, there will be a blue card that's called Pyrus, Aquas, and Chaos combo, and a blue card that's called Subterrace, Ventus, and Darkus combo. They worked really hard on the title. Anyway, if you have each of every Bakugan mentioned in the card in your current kit, it will give you 400 Gs. Again, just to show you how crazy that is, the only cards in this game that will give you 400 Gs are specific evolved Bakugans with only them in mind. So having either of these combo cards give you such a big advantage, it's insane. This means even in the worst situations, if you have this card on hand, it can save your bacon. Not only that, but since the combo takes 3 different elements, you can use the strongest Bakugan of each element. There's a gate card and an ability card for almost every strategy, so the grind really doesn't feel that bad. It won't take long, but it will be a lot of fun. Running to buy a certain Bakugan that you like, or trying a card that you think that just might work, it's a lot of fun. Not only that, but once you've unlocked every special Bakugan, you can challenge Marduk one final time to get Battle X Flatator. Speaking of which, final track, final battle. I saved one last surprise. You know how I talked about the fight between Vladitor and Omega Leonidas at the end of the campaign? You see, the game throws a massive curveball at you. You are in a stage you have no experience with, where you have only one Bakugan, the field can only have one gate card at a time where double stands aren't allowed, where Marduk uses a special shot every turn, and to top this all off, Battle X Flatator will always have 750 Gs. So, yeah, a lot is thrown at the player at once. I remember first playing this when I was a kid and getting stuck, and I don't blame Tiny Splinter. However, there are things you can do to help win. For one, do not land on the card first. It will have you seeing ghosts. 2, Matt! The reason why is pretty simple. The Darkest Special Shot will always take Gs from any Bakugan that's nearby when they are placed before said Darkest Bakugan. The other tip is to make sure that you take the arena path for both sides of the stadium, and trust me, you'll need it. The track for this stage is phenomenal. It's a great mix of cinematic and death, I guess, if that's a way to describe it. It's a game mode unique and interesting. The last part to mention is that the final battle really is final, because this is the only time in the entire game where you can play this mode. It's not in the park or anywhere else in the game, so it really adds to this point in the game. Fade in, fade out. Alright, was that fun? Did it distract you from your real world problems? I hope so. This game means a lot to me. From its soundtrack, to its builds, to its characters, it's so much more than just some licensed game. There's a few things I didn't touch upon, like the stadium elements, or the stay way of winning a gate card, but I promise not to drag things out. However, I will leave you with just a little bit more knowledge before I go. You know how I said that this was made by Now Productions? You see, they are a Japanese company, which makes sense. Bakugan started in Japan. The strange thing is that the game straight up never released in Japan, even though the developers made it in Japan. Weird, huh? Anyway, check out the collabs and the stuff below. Have a great rest of your day.